Welcome back everyone, and thank you so much for joining today's video. If you love rare coins, hidden treasures, unbelievable minting mistakes, and the idea that a simple pocket change coin could secretly be worth a life-changing fortune, then you're absolutely in the right place. Today's story is one of the most fascinating modern coin mysteries ever discussed among collectors, dealers, and numismatic enthusiasts. We're diving deep into the 2004 D1 cent USA coin, a penny that most people have ignored, spent, or tossed into jars for years, yet under certain extraordinary circumstances has been rumored, discussed, and theorized to be worth as much as $554 million. Yes, you heard that right. A single penny, with a face value of just 1 cent, potentially valued higher than luxury mansions, rare paintings, and even private islands, all because of rare errors, minting mistakes, unusual mint mark situations, and extremely unlikely possibilities that push this coin into legendary territory. The 2004 D1 cent coin was produced at the Denver Mint, and at first glance it looks completely ordinary. Millions upon millions of these pennies were struck, circulated widely, and used every day across the United States. Most people wouldn't give it a second look. But in the world of coin collecting, it's often the most ordinary-looking coins that hide the most extraordinary secrets. The value of a coin is not always determined by its age or how shiny it is, but by what went wrong during the minting process, what materials were used, and how many of those mistakes survived unnoticed. The 2004 D penny exists at the intersection of modern mass production and rare error possibilities, making it one of the most intriguing Lincoln cents ever discussed. To understand how a 2004 D penny could even be mentioned in the same sentence as hundreds of millions of dollars, we have to first understand how coins are made and how things can go wrong. The minting process involves metal planchets being punched, fed into presses, and struck by dies under immense pressure. When everything works perfectly, the result is a normal coin. But when even one tiny step fails, the result can be a dramatic error. These errors can include wrong metal compositions, double strikes, off-center strikes, missing design elements, incorrect dies, misaligned dies, mint mark anomalies, or even coins that were never meant to exist at all. The more extreme and unique the error, the higher the potential value. The year 2004 was especially interesting for Lincoln cents. This was just before the major design changes that came later, and the mint was operating at high speed to meet demand. High-speed production increases the chances of mistakes slipping through. The Denver Mint struck hundreds of millions of pennies that year, and while most were normal, even a tiny fraction of errors could mean thousands of rare varieties scattered unknowingly into circulation. Some may still be sitting in old jars, piggy banks, or forgotten drawers. One of the most talked about possibilities with the 2004 D penny is a wrong planchet error. This happens when a penny is struck on a blank intended for another coin. For example, a penny struck on a dime planchet, a foreign coin blank, or even a silver planchet would instantly become incredibly rare. If a 2004 D penny were struck on a solid silver or experimental alloy planchet, and verified by experts, it could become one of the most valuable modern coins in existence. In theory, if the composition were unique and undocumented, it could command astronomical prices, especially if it represented a mint experiment or an accidental strike on a restricted material. Another major factor is double die errors. Double die coins occur when the die itself is misaligned during the creation process, causing the design elements to appear doubled on the final coin. These are not simple machine doubling effects, but true double dies that show clear separation in lettering, dates, or portraits. A 2004 D penny with an extreme double die on the obverse or reverse, especially involving Lincoln's portrait or the date, would be extraordinarily rare. If such a double die were dramatic enough and only one or two examples were known, collectors could compete fiercely for ownership, driving the value into the millions. Then there are off-metal and transitional errors. Transitional errors happen when a coin is struck using materials intended for a different year or type of coin. The early 2000s were a period of tight cost control at the mint, and even small deviations in metal composition were closely monitored. A 2004 D penny accidentally struck on an experimental alloy that was never officially released could be considered unique. A one-of-a-kind transitional error tied to internal mint processes could, in theory, reach unbelievable valuations if the story behind it were proven. Mint mark errors play another huge role in the mystery of this coin. The D mint mark indicates Denver, but errors involving mint marks have a long history of creating legendary coins. A misplaced mint mark, a doubled mint mark, a missing mint mark on a Denver struck coin, or an overpunched mint mark could all add massive value. While modern minting processes are more automated, mistakes still happen. If a 2004 penny were struck at Denver but lacked the D mint mark due to a die error, and it could be proven to be a genuine mint omission rather than post-mint damage, collectors would take serious notice. Even more fascinating is the idea of a mule error. A mule coin is created when dies from two different coins are accidentally paired together. Imagine a 2004 penny obverse paired with a reverse from an entirely different denomination or year. Mule errors are among the rarest mint mistakes known, and when discovered, they instantly become numismatic legends. A genuine 2004 D penny mule with a mismatched reverse could easily become one of the most valuable error coins ever discovered. Another possibility involves multiple strikes and blockage errors. A multiple struck penny that shows overlapping images, rotated designs, or partial impressions can be incredibly rare, especially if the strikes occurred off-center or on top of another coin. A blockage occurs when a coin gets stuck to a die and impresses its design onto another coin, creating a mirror image. These types of dramatic visual errors are highly prized, and if combined with other factors like wrong metal or mint mark anomalies, the value can skyrocket. Condition also plays a crucial role. Even the rarest error loses value if the coin is heavily damaged or worn. For a 2004 D penny to approach the theoretical value of $554 million, it would need to be in exceptional condition, possibly uncirculated or mint state, with sharp details and minimal contact marks. High-grade coins certified by major grading services carry far more weight in the market than raw, uncertified examples. The story element cannot be ignored either. Coins are not valued purely on metal and mistakes. They are valued on narrative, rarity, and historical significance. A coin that represents a previously unknown error, uncovered decades later, verified by experts, and tied to a mysterious minting anomaly would attract global attention. Museums, elite collectors, and even governments could become interested. In such cases, the value is no longer limited by typical market comparisons, but by what someone is willing to pay for a piece of numismatic history that may never be repeated. The idea of a $554 million valuation does not mean that every 2004 D penny is worth that amount. In reality, most are worth 1 cent. But within the vast population of these coins, the possibility exists, however slim, that one or a handful of extraordinary examples could exist. These would be coins that combine multiple rare errors into a single piece, such as a wrong planchet, doubled die, mint mark anomaly, and pristine condition all at once. The odds are incredibly low, but not impossible. Collectors often compare such possibilities to lottery tickets hidden in plain sight. The difference is that instead of random numbers, the winning factors are physical characteristics, metal composition, and microscopic details. That's why experienced collectors carefully examine modern coins just as closely as ancient ones. History has shown time and again that some of the most valuable coins were discovered years after they were minted, sitting unnoticed in collections or circulation. Another factor driving speculative values is the psychology of collecting. When a coin becomes known as potentially the rarest of its kind, demand can explode. Wealthy collectors are not just buying metal. They are buying exclusivity, prestige, and the right to own something no one else can. If a 2004 D penny were confirmed as a unique error, the bidding could reach absurd levels, especially if multiple ultra-wealthy collectors wanted it. It's also important to understand how professional authentication works. Any claim of a 2004 D penny being worth hundreds of millions would require extensive testing, including metallurgical analysis, die studies, and provenance research. Grading services would examine the coin under magnification, compare it to known dies, and verify that all errors occurred during minting rather than after. Only then could such a coin be accepted by the